Hey guys, wanted to take a few minutes and talk about bushcraft knives. I don't do too many videos like these, but I see kind of controversy out there, and I just maybe thought I'd take a few minutes and clear some things up and kind of show you my thoughts on knives and their purposes. And you know, there's a whole big gray area, and then there's some definite white and black areas too. So first of all, you know, to know what a bushcraft knife is, we kind of have to define bushcraft, and that's you know, again, it's a big gray area, and you know, we know it's not army survival, we know it's not prepping, but generally probably we don't consider RV camping, you know, that kind of thing. But you know, getting out in nature and appreciation of nature and utilizing the resources nature provides us is probably a good start. To that end, you know, we have tools that help us along with that sort of thing, and knives are a big part of that, and a source of endless discussion and debate. So I brought out a few knives here, just grabbed a few out of the drawer there, and this knife storage drawer, and thought we'd talk about it for a few minutes. Now for me, a big thing about most bushcraft to me is kind of around camp work, and you know, I don't spend a whole lot of time chopping down trees and that sort of thing, so it's more tends to be finer tasks. So it could be setting up camp, you know, utilizing some natural resources for making shelters, fires, you know, eating utensils, spoons, the list goes on. And for some of those finer tasks, which to me is the main portion of bushcraft, I tend to like a smaller, lighter, as you see on this side over here, smaller, lighter knife, lighter to carry, lighter weight to use throughout the day. It's going to have a grind on it that's, you know, tends to be a little bit sharper. We'll talk about that in a minute, rather than one that's going to be you know, durable and bomb-proof like you might find on an axe, right? Anyway, sorry, I'm doing this unscripted here, but let's back up here for a second. The most important thing about knives is you have to consider about what's your environment. Where do you live? Where are you going to be going? And you know, what does that environment tell you about the kind of tools you're going to need? You know, what I have here is, you know, kind of in the middle west coast area, in the, you know, mountains and foothills and part of the valley. What I have here works well for me, but you know, Florida, South America, you know, who knows, Canada, you know, the boreal forests up there, it might be a different story. So you have to think about your environment or environments and what's going to help you. You know, do you need a machete to get through stuff? You know, do you need do the type of trees you have there dictate an axe or a saw, or you know, what are your, you know, and that's all part of your kit overall. What's your experience, you know, and that's something that we don't talk about too much, but you know, a lot of you are probably like me, where you've been using knives since you were a kid, and so you tend to learn about what you like and don't like. What are the pros and cons of different designs and different shapes and sizes as you go through things. And we might get a knife that looks awesome to us, but after a little while of use, we end up thinking, boy, you know, I'm not such a big fan anymore, and it's not doing what I thought it would, or it's, you know, it's doing what I thought it would, but that's not what I want to do anymore. You know, those kind of things. So you know, when you're picking a knife, your environment, and then toss in your experience too, both with the tools and your experience in that environment. And then it's knives are fun to talk about, but it's a lot less about the knife itself versus the skills you have with that knife. So, you know, a Ray Mears or Morris Kochanski, or, you know, any number of guys out there could take any of these knives or even a kitchen knife and do fantastic with it, and make it look like a good knife, whereas a newer person might struggle a little bit because they just haven't built up the skills yet. So again, we're back to the skills and practice. So maybe too much emphasis is on the type of knife we have, or the brand, or the model, or shape, or what tradition it's from, versus just getting out there and having the dang skills. Get out there and practice and practice and practice. And also, lastly, is an old dude once told me that a tool is only as good as how well we care for it. So the measure of a good outdoorsman is how well he cares for his tools. So, and it also that folds into the skills too. Knife skills go beyond just using the knife, but their skills in maintaining it and sharpening it. Your diligence on your knife maintenance and that kind of thing. Your blade and edge maintenance and all that kind of thing. Do you have wood scales? Are you maintaining those? So a reliable knife has to be taken care of and kept sharp. Excuse me. So those are all skills too, is the taking care of it and understanding that that our tools are, as Ray Mears said, I think, that your knife is your life. So if you take care of it, keep a good edge on it, keep it in a good quality sheath, when you're out in the field, that's going to take care of your knife and keep it in good shape out there. All that stuff counts into just thinking about the aspect of knives and tools in general. So anyway, so let's get back to some specifics here. I kind of have two different styles here that you have the larger kind of what I call jack of all trades, master of none. And so these are a little bit larger knives. These are kind of what some people call your one tool option. They're you can carve with them. You can also kind of chop with them. I don't condone chopping with a knife. You should have another tool with you. But should the need arise, you can chop with them. You can baton with them. Typically a 5-inch blade or so, or more. The definite full tang construction. Thicker spines and that kind of thing. Those I call like I said, some guys call it one tool option. I call it jack of all trades, master of none. So it's kind of like a universal tool. I actually use these less often than I use these kind. And this is your Mora category. This is a friend of mine, James Wilshire. This is his Battle Horse Field Crafter, and but you can see it's in the size range of the two Moras here. A companion, which I took the little flare off here, the finger guard off, because it's more comfortable for me. Bushcraft black. And this is one I made. The blade was forged in Sweden for me, and then I put the handle on with red deer antler and curly-eyed maple, and then a pocket knife, of course. So my go-to knives are in this category here, and because all four of these have a Scandi grind to it, I believe this Battle Horse might have a small secondary bevel. If it is, it's very small. But anyway, and the Scandi grind is kind of an in-between grind. I find it ideal for, it gives you a nice blade angle for making shavings and that sort of thing, but yet it's not so thin that it's, really significantly loses durability. But, again, as we, mentioned grinds and things like that, a less of an angle is going to be more durable, and one that's ground shallower and thinner is going to be less durable. But it will carve better, so, again, compromises. And I'm not going to go into grinds too much. There's plenty of information out there. But, so you can research that kind of on your own. And anyway, So these four are kind of my go-to knives around camp, hiking. You know, they're so light on the belt and that sort of thing. They do almost all the chores that I need to do without having to go to something bigger. The reason why I have these bigger knives is because one's always with me, and it's on my belt, because there is that thing that if you lose your gear and you're going to have that one knife strapped to you that you're never going to lose, what would you have it be? And there is the issue of a knife maybe in this category not being heavy enough for every single thing that you'd want one knife to do. But anyway, these smaller ones are what I call a bushcraft knife, because it does the majority of bushcraft chores. And so the Moras, you can make something yourself. You can, get a custom maker to make something for you, which I highly recommend. Very reasonable. And for day-to-day stuff, that's my opinion. This is what I tend to use. I find it more comfortable and easier to manage throughout the day. Over here, I have a variety. First of all, the BK2. You're all familiar with the big workhorse of a knife, 1/4 inch thick. It's got, kind of a, definite secondary bevel here on the grind, so it's even thicker down here on the blade. So, I can baton just about through concrete with that thing. Don't do that, by the way. But you can baton through just about anything. I mean, it's a small tomahawk in disguise almost. I've kind of gotten away from it because it's so heavy and it's just a bruiser, And on the other end of the spectrum is something with a little bit longer blade, this old hickory, much thinner blade, and it's also still full tang construction though. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. It's I'm not really trying to do reviews today, but it's okay. But it's thin enough where it's fun to play with and everything like that. But it's thin enough that I'd worry about it a little bit. So I had something made from Wilder Forge that I think for me is ideal. 3/16 spine. You can see it's thinner than the Becker BK2, but it's still very stout. And otherwise simple wood scales, and it's kind of a nice and simple Scandi grind. So I could make shavings with it, but yet it's stout enough that I think it'll hold up to most things most of the time, as long as I don't abuse it. So that's kind of become my regular carry as far as my one tool option. But again, I find myself reaching for these more often than not. This is what I carry. That's what I consider bushcraft knife. This is more kind of that one tool option survival knife kind of thing. But it's up to you really. Pocket knives, have one, enjoy it, play with it, carry one in your pocket every day, just so you have a knife on you and that kind of thing. But is a knife to rely on? Absolutely not, because they're more dangerous. I'm not, no matter how many safety features they have on it, you always have that issue of, is something going to come loose, and is this thing going to, is it going to close on you, is it going to break on you? These are, you talk about Moras without having the full tang, or this one here that has a stick tang. Well, these are no tang, right? They got a pin there. So, it's quick and handy, but I don't consider these bushcraft knives or serious camping knives. You got to go with something with some kind of handle and tang on it that's not movable. So, yeah, I leave pocket knives kind of out of the equation. This is all my opinion, and it's not about gospel. And the whole kind of inspiration behind doing this video, and I know I'm making this long, but is that knife owners are like gun owners, man. They are just opinionated as all get out, and their version is the, you know, cat's meow. And you know, so what I suggest is the best gun you own is the one that you can shoot reliably, comfortably, and accurately every time, right? And that it fires every time. And that's kind of what you want out of your knife. So, and to get that out of a gun, it's half the model of the firearm, but also your practice, right? You go to the range regularly. So consider a knife and the same thing. So pick one or two. You know, there's no reason. These Moras weigh nothing. There's no reason not to have one in your pack. Pick one or two and get good at it. And you know, take your experience, take your environment, factor all that in, and make a good decision. It's really, other than that, don't sweat it too much. You know what I mean? Don't worry about it. It's not 99 times out of 100, unless you break a knife or something like that, have real, you know, quality control issues with a certain brand or certain style. It's most problems with knives are user error. It's not the problem of the knife, or its lack of maintenance, or lack of knowledge on how to sharpen it properly, and that kind of thing. So anyway, that's just, I want to do this so that we all remember to keep it real, and let's not, you know, lose sight of what the real thing is, and that's, in bushcraft, it's us and our skills. It's the tools are very secondary. So anyway, guys, thank you. I appreciate it. James, thanks for letting me show off your knife here, your battle horse. And Chase Wilder, thanks for making this one for me, Wilder Forge. And anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you very much for watching. As always, you know, give a thumbs up, give a subscribe if you're not subscribed, that kind of thing. And talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.